Good morning. I'm going to help you this morning through your Chapter 2 review in English. And then tomorrow you won't have a video, but I'll just leave you a note to take your test. And I think your test should be there at your house. So you can get those tests and take that and then snap a picture. I think it's two-sided maybe or 2 pages. Snap a picture of both of those and send those to me so that I can grade those. But I'm going to help you through your chapter review, okay? All right, so let's look at Chapter 2 review. This would be on page 37 and 38. At the top section, section A, numbers 1 through 4, we're going over descriptive words. Do you remember the very beginning of this chapter when we were talking about a thesaurus? We were using a thesaurus to get better words. Well, that's what this is going over. So let's look at number 1. Well, I guess we better look at the instructions before we do anything. Fill in the circle next to the sentences that uses more exact descriptive words. So let's look at number 1. Dad pulled while I held my end of the rope. That sounds okay. Or Dad tugged while I clutched my end of the rope. That one sounds more descriptive, doesn't it? The second one sounds a little bit more descriptive. The first one's not bad, but it just tells. It's just kind of boring. But the word tugged, the words tugged and clenched, to me that's like salt and pepper. It really makes the sentence sound better. Let's look at number 2. The rooftop was the perfect spot to gaze at the luminous stars. Or the rooftop was the perfect spot to look at the bright stars. Which one of those sounds more descriptive? The first one. Fill in the bubble on the first one. And those words make it sound so much more descriptive. Number 3, the party was pleasant and we laughed at Kyle's hilarious stories. Or the party was nice and we laughed at Kyle's funny stories. Which one of those sounds more descriptive? Did you say the first one? I think so. And look at number 4. The weather was good and I felt happy. The weather was terrific and I felt jubilant. The second one sounds way better. Has a lot more oomph to it. I'd call that oomph. All right, look at section B. Now it's talking about the different parts of a narrative, the different parts. So on number 5, there's a personal narrative, which is what you wrote. Then there's an opening, there's a closing, there's dialogue, there are events, and a topic. So let's match those up to the letters which they go. So on A, it says should get the reader's attention. Which one of those things over on the side should get the reader's attention? Is it the personal narrative? Or is it the opening? Remember, the opening should be like, ooh, somebody's reading it. And ooh, I want to finish reading this because it's about something I like. Okay, so on number 5, you put the letter D. Because, I'm sorry. Oh gosh, I just gave you the answer. I'm sorry. On number 6, you put the letter A. Okay, so number 6, the opening should get the reader's attention. So now that I gave you the answer to number 5, let's look at number 5. Number 5 is a personal narrative, and I told you it's D. That is a story about you. You would have gotten that right anyway. So number 5 is D. Number 6 is A. So let's look at letter B and see what letter B is. Is the event you choose to write about? Which one of those is the event you choose to write about? That would be your topic. So on number 10, you'll put B for topic. I have to be careful not to give you any more answers. All right, look at letter C. Should be given in the order they happened. Which one of those things should be given in the order in which they happened? That would be events. Number 9 is C. The events should be given in the order in which they happened, correct? What if you told about drinking a cup of coffee and you didn't make it first? You drank it and then you made it. That wouldn't work. All right, let's look at, we've already done D. That's a story about you. That's a personal narrative. Let's look at E. Should give your thoughts about the experience. Which one of those parts? The closing should give your thoughts and your experience on what happened. So on number, what did we say? Number 7, the closing is E. That's what gives us our thoughts. And I wonder what the last one is. Makes people in the narrative come alive. That would be dialogue. That's where they speak. Remember, that was the only thing that was wrong in your writing, was that you forgot to put those quotation marks around what someone said. We have to be very careful, because if you don't do that, we can't really look and see what someone said. It might be more like what they thought. All right, very good. Let's look at part C. It says to fill in the circle next to the correct phrase that completes each sentence. So in number 11, a personal narrative should always be about, which one of those should a personal narrative always be about? The middle one, something you remember well. Is that what you said? I hope you're getting these answers before I'm giving them to you. Let's look at number 12. When you blank, you can add more details. Did you say revise? When you revise, you can change it up and add more details. So number 12 is the last one. And number 13, a personal narrative should not include Did you choose the first one? Details that do not fit with the topic? Of course, if you wrote a topic about riding a horse, you wouldn't put something in there about Mom ate candy. That would be dumb. All right, look at the next page. All right, part D. Now, these are the parts of the writing process. Remember, we looked at a page a few days ago, that had all the steps of the writing process on there. So let's see if we can get those down, okay? So 14 through 18, we've got the planning stage, the drafting stage, the revising stage, the proofreading stage, and the publishing stage. So let's see if we can match those letters up to which one describes which. So on A, it says adding, changing, or deleting details. What part of the writing process do we do that? Did you say revising? Because it would be revising. So on number 16, you'll put A, because adding, changing, or deleting things, that's when you go in and you read over your rough draft and you say, well, I think I want to change this, I want to add that and do this. Okay, let's look at letter B. Choosing a topic and the events to include. What stage is that? I'm going to take a drink and then I'll tell you the answer. Did you say the planning stage? The first one? That's B. The planning stage is when you choose your topic and all the events you're going to include. Let's look at C. Writing a neat final draft. What part is that? Did you say publishing? Number 18, that's where you publish your final copy. That's your neat final draft, like the one you sent me, which was great. And look at D. Checking for correct spelling and punctuation. It's where we go in and we do what? Did you say proofread? Proofreading, number 17 is D. Proofreading is where you go in and you make sure that you have all your I's dotted, your T's crossed, your words capitalized, and everything else, spelling and everything. I wonder what E goes to. Writing the first copy of your story would be drafting. When you write your rough draft, that would be the drafting part. Good deal. Now the next 4 questions are going to be talking about where we get up in front of people and we read our story. We went over that just a little bit, remember? So let's fill in the circle next to the correct answer. On number 19, nervousness about speaking in front of people. Did you choose the middle one? Can be lessened or overcome. You can not be afraid of that. I have my oldest son started playing the guitar when he was about 9 or 10. He's 26 now. And when he was probably about 11 or 12, I put him in front of our church and he would start playing little hymns on his guitar. He wasn't very good, but I made him do it anyway. And now he is the music minister of a pretty big church. and he can get in front of anybody and play his guitar and speak, and he's not scared because he has learned that and he has overcome that fear. So that can be done. On number 20, which is not a way to overcome nervousness? The first one, refusing to speak when your turn comes. That's not going to help you overcome anything. That's just being mean. Number 21, which is the better use of your eyes while you are speaking? That's pretty easy. The first one, looking at each person in the group, showing eye contact to your audience when you're reading. That's the best thing to do. Which is more important to think about when you are speaking? This one's pretty easy too. Making sure you speak clearly when you're talking to your audience, when you're reading your literature, whatever it is you're reading. All right, let's finish up this page. Let's look at the part F. We're going to be doing some proofreading on this. Now the instructions say, read the following narrative paragraph and find 4 mistakes. And we're going to use those proofreading marks over here. So let's read through this first. Our trip to Cedar Falls was really fun. My brother James and I took our new sleeping bags. We hiked up the first part of the trail. Then we stopped and set up camp. We finished our hike the next morning. The falls were beautiful. I want to come here every summer, my brother said. Okay, there's going to be 4 errors in that. I'd like for you to pause this, see if you can find 4, at least find a few of them, and when you can't find any more, turn it back on and I'll show you which ones they are. Did you find any of the errors? I bet you found at least 1 or 2 for sure. It'd be great if you found all 4, but if you didn't, that's okay, because it takes a good, experienced eye to find all the errors. So let's look here. So the first error I see is James should be uppercased. You should have an uppercase J. So you should have used the proofreading marks, the 3 little tiny lines underneath the J, to show that that letter should be capitalized. The next error I see is sleeping is not spelled correctly. So what you would do is you would do the delete line. You would do it all the way through what they spelled like this, just to mark that word out. And then right above it, you would write it correctly, S-L-E-E-P-I-N-G. The next error that I see is the sentence where it says, we hiked up the first part of the trail. There's not a period there. See, that ends a sentence and he forgot to put a period there. So you would put the little caret mark, the little arrow pointing up where the period should be, and then you would put the period right inside that little caret mark. Okay? And then the last error that I saw, it says, we finished our hike the next morning. The falls were beautiful. I want to come here every summer, my brother said. Do you see after summer there's quotation marks? That means that's what he said. So let's go back to the first of that sentence where it says the falls are beautiful. Then it says I want to come. You see where it says I? There should be quotation marks before the letter I. And that shows us that that's dialogue. That's what someone said. So you would put the little caret mark or the little arrow mark pointing down to where those quotation marks would be, and then you would put quotation marks right inside there. Does that make sense to you? All right. Now, if what I just said to you on this doesn't make sense, if you don't know what this proofreading means and you're not real sure and you didn't follow me, can you leave me a message on Google Classroom and then I'll put it on the screen and show you what I mean, okay? Because you're going to take the test tomorrow and I want you to know how to do it because I think something like this is going to be on the test. So if you're not sure, let me know, okay? All right, that will be all for today. I hope you do well on your test tomorrow.